This is Turd Flinging Monkey for TFM News. I'm going to be responding to an article that appeared in The Independent on the 28th of November 2016 called As a Gender, We Men Are in Crisis, but Feminism Might Just Help Us Out. And this article is written by Jake Mills. Now it's hard for me to believe that Jake is really a man, but I've seen enough feminist men to know that there are Jakes out there. So I'm going to try to help, because Jake, I actually do care about you. You may not believe it, and I'm going to try to save your life. Now, it's going to be very hard for me to get through this article, because about every single sentence contains something that's not true. I'm just going to have a counter in the upper right corner, just counting all the bullshit times that they say something that's completely untrue. So let's continue, quote, "Feminism is not about women receiving preferential treatment. It isn't about taking away the rights of men, or what is rightfully theirs. Feminism exists purely to challenge and fight inequality. Inequality that affects both men and women. The benefits of feminism aren't exclusive to women, and by embracing the concept, men can shed the negative expectations that come with being male. The reality is, as men, we're struggling. We're depressed and we don't even know where to turn. Suicide is the single biggest killer of men between the ages of 21 and 45 in this country. We are our own biggest threat." Now, I will agree that men are struggling, but feminism has nothing to do with helping men or shedding the consequences or expectations that come with being male. There are simple biological reasons why that doesn't work. I mean, spoiler alert, it's because women have the babies. So if women have babies and men aren't going to take care of them, who is? Who's going to take care of women who have babies? The government? Well, where's the government going to get its money? From men. Someone has to earn the money to pay the welfare. Someone has to take care of these women. They're pregnant, they have babies. So yes, you're struggling. Yes, men are struggling. Men are hurting. Men are committing suicide. It continues, quote, "As a gender, we are in crisis. At the root of this crisis is the idea that as men, we have to conform to stale and damaging expectations of what it means to conform to this stereotype." Okay, so you repeated yourself, so I'm guessing you're not the sharpest tool in the shed. But let me see if I understand you. You're saying that at the root cause of the problems with men are masculine stereotypes. Okay? When you actually examine what are these masculine stereotypes, they're not going to go away. Feminism doesn't make the masculine stereotypes go away, because women have the babies and the men have to take care of the women. That's never going to go away. As long as women have the babies, men are going to have to take care of them. If you can't handle that stereotype, that's on you. That's how societies work. Women can't take care of themselves and take care of children while the men sit around and do fuck all. For society to function, men have to pull a little bit more of the weight than women. That's the masculine stereotype. Quote, "By forcing ourselves to abide by ridiculous guidelines, we're hurting ourselves and those around us. The simple fact is that by embracing feminism, by empowering women, by welcoming equality, men can liberate themselves from the harmful attitudes that are preventing them from being who they really are. Men and women are not equal. Nature didn't make us equal. Nature caused women to have the babies and the men to be stronger and smarter. Maybe not in your case, but I actually still want to help you. As long as women have the babies, the expectation is going to fall on men to pull a little bit more of the weight in society. No amount of laws, no amount of feminism is going to cause men to have babies. As long as women have babies, men are going to be expected to support society more than women, because women can't support themselves and their children and society while men do nothing. Equality is bullshit. It can't work. Men and women have different roles because of the sexual reproductive dynamic. But here we get to the root cause of Jake's suffering. Are you ready? Embracing egalitarian attitudes means that the gender roles can be redefined or abandoned altogether, which can only be to the benefit of men suffering because they do not feel manly enough. There you go. You are an effeminate bitch. You don't like being an effeminate bitch. You think your hope is that by embracing feminism, which also hates masculinity because it's anti-men, you think that by joining with feminism, you're going to create this new world where everybody's equal, and somehow men have babies because, it's not going to work. Even if men and women were equal in every way, women would still have the babies. It would still fall on men to take care of women. That is how we evolved as a species. Unfortunately, you don't feel manly enough because you're probably effeminate. I'm sorry you lost the genetic lottery. Maybe go on testosterone therapy, but feminism is not going to help you. Equality can't work in a sexually dimorphic, sexually reproducing species. You can't have men and women be the same. It's not going to work because women have babies. It really all comes down to that. So let's move on and hear Jake's tale of woe. As a man, I struggled with the masculine stereotype. I didn't feel strong or powerful. I didn't feel capable of standing my ground to protect myself or others. I didn't feel as though I could provide for a family, and I had never even seen an episode of Top Gear. The stereotype was a daily struggle that I tried my best to live up to. More often than not, quite successfully, despite it making me painfully unhappy. I felt incompetent, weak, and pathetic. Well, those feelings aren't entirely unjustified. Your problem is that if you're weak, if you can't provide for a woman and her family, you're not getting the pussy, son. I talked about this in my video about human nature. We did an experiment for 50 years called the welfare state. We gave women all this welfare, so they didn't need a provider. Women could choose to date whoever they wanted. Now, in your magical world, in your fantasy egalitarian utopia, you think that if we overturned the patriarchy, if we had this egalitarian utopia, and women had all their needs provided for, they wouldn't look to you as a provider because the government or the robots would provide for everyone. And because they didn't need a man to provide for them, they would choose you and they would fuck you and they would have children with you because you're such a nice guy. Here's the reality, and this is proven by actual observable reality called the welfare state. When you give women free money, rather than abandon hypergamy and choose a nice guy, they just use that as a floor, and they demand that men provide even more money. The welfare state doesn't eliminate hypergamy, it just ramps it up. It prices men at the bottom tier out, which I'm guessing includes you, which is why you're so unhappy. And the sad thing is, men like you who are deluded fools who support feminism, you need MGTOW more than anyone. MGTOW will save your life. If you want to be free of these stereotypes, of this hell that you're putting yourself through, this depression, all you need to do is go your own way. Quote, I always dismissed feminism as an idea, maybe believing that perception that its entire existence was to undermine men. But the more I started to learn about it, the more I began to realize just how wrong I was. The likes of Everyday Sexism by Laura Bates, the He for She Project, and absolutely every word ever written by Caitlin Moran changed my life. They opened my eyes, not only to the genuine fight that women face every single day, the outrageous inequalities that are staring us all in the face, but they made me reassess my own life. The more I read, the more obvious it became that feminism and gender equality can directly challenge the redundant expectations of men as well as women. As a dad to a beautiful little boy, I know that I cannot allow him to adopt the tired old misogynist attitude. I hope that he will see his dad and others stand up to comments and actions and point out what's wrong and why. As men, we have to stand up to the behavior we know is wrong. But we have to do it together. We have to stand side by side with our mothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, friends, girlfriends, and wives, and we have to say we will fight for you, for your sake and ours. I may well be accused of mansplaining or taking a woman's issue and making it about men, but the reality is gender equality is impossible without men being brought to the table. But while we have a public conception that feminism is anti-men, we will never be able to truly challenge the injustice of outdated gender roles that are hurting so many and fueling a masculinity crisis that is ending, for many, in suicide. So, what else can I say? This guy's a fucking idiot. You think that feminism is going to overturn these gender roles and benefit you, and it won't. What's actually going to happen, if you understand female nature, if you understand human nature, you would see this coming. What's actually going to happen is women are going to get the resources from men to them, and they're going to fuck the top tier alpha men, because that's who they're attracted to. To end on a positive note, You sound like you've been through a lot of shit, and I'm sorry. But your solutions will only make the problem worse, and it will hurt far more men. You think you're helping men, but you're not. Because you had trouble living up to the masculine stereotype, you think that you could somehow overturn nature itself. It's not going to happen. You're only going to hurt yourself. You're only going to hurt other men. And look into MGTOW, because I think that will solve your problems far more than supporting feminism. This is Turd Flinging Monkey signing off.